Am I supposed to be ashamed that I'm best friends with criminals? I've been best friends with criminals for years. Murderers, people that have attempted murder, people that assault people. The list goes on. I've been best friends. I am best friends with the top criminals. Top criminals that have been in prison for years. But they get out. Most people don't know that you're actually walking around town with murderers, with people that assault people, with men who've stabbed other men. You're walking around because they don't go to prison forever. Not everybody goes to prison forever. Not everybody stays in life without parole. Plenty of people have murdered and they're walking free all across the nation. Plenty of people have assaulted other people or stabbed other people or have shot somebody, and they're out walking amongst you. The same streets, the same grocery stores, the same movie theaters. So I am best friends with criminals. Am I supposed to be ashamed of that? Because I'm not ashamed. I've never been ashamed to be best friends with a criminal. Men and women that have murdered. Men and women that have stabbed someone, shot someone, assaulted people. I'm not ashamed, and I will never be ashamed to be best friends with them. And what's funny is that Mormons will judge that and criticize that and condemn that. But what's funny is that women in church say, I love Nephi, I worship Nephi, the first book of the Book of Mormon, and Nephi was a murderer. Nephi murdered a man. Nephi, first man you meet in the Book of Mormon, in Mormonism, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, LDS, Mormon, whatever you want to call them, they pretend Nephi's not a murderer. And they pretend like I'm not supposed to be best friends with a murderer. Oh my God, how dare you? How dare you be best friends with a murderer, or a man or a woman that's assaulted people, or a man or woman that stabbed somebody or shot somebody. How dare I be best friends with them? Yet they walk in your same grocery stores, your same streets, your same movie theaters, your same festivals and events and concerts. Oh, but I'm not allowed to be best friends with them, right? Bunny, bunny, bunny. But they did their time. They committed the crime, they did the time. Isn't that what we always say? If they did the crime, did the time. But yet, I've literally known more evil people that are sober. More evil people who are Christians. I've known worse criminals and worse sinners who are Christians and who are sober. Let that sink in. Women can stand in church in front of me and say, Nephi was an outstanding, incredible man. But the same people in Utah condemn me, judge me, criticize me for being best friends with criminals. Men and women, criminals. My best friends for years have been criminals on the East Coast and on the West Coast. I know badass motherfuckers that are labeled scary and dangerous. All sorts of names. Crazy, psychotic. They're named 1,000 names, 1,000 labels. They've carried their crosses because they're strong. But these Mormons with no criminal records, sober Christians who study the Book of Mormon, Bible, and doctrine, and they pretend those books are not full of criminals and crime. But yet they worship all the men in all those books. And David, who killed Uriah to sleep with his wife. Let's pretend David's not a murderer. Pretend Joseph Smith never got arrested and thrown in jail. Pretend Jesus Christ never got arrested and thrown in jail. The list goes on and on and on and on. But let's pretend those books don't have criminals and crimes. Let's pretend those men aren't scary and dangerous and violent. Let's pretend the Book of Mormon is not the most violent book out there. One of the most violent books out there. Brutal. A man stabbed another man in the heart. Let's pretend the Book of Mormon's not violent. Pretend, pretend, pretend. But you're going to judge me and criticize me assume my life because I'm best friends with criminals, men and women criminals. Yes, I'm best friends with people that have stabbed or shot somebody. I'm best friends with men and women that have assaulted other people. I'm best friends with a lot of different criminals. But let's pretend Christians don't commit crimes that have no criminal record. Let's pretend they're not criminals. Let's pretend they don't commit sins and crimes. They just don't get signed by a document by the government. Just because your sins and crimes haven't been documented by the government and signed by a government official, you're going to pretend you're not a criminal. You're going to pretend you're not a sinner. Pretend, pretend, pretend.